those existing marriages. Well, nobody likes to think about death, let alone preparing a will. However, it is necessary to draft a will and keep it up to date to make sure that your family and loved ones are taken care of after you're gone. What you may not know is if you die without a will, the courts will decide how your estate should be distributed, which may not be how you would have wanted it. Our legal contributor, Craig Wisdom, joins us now. March is Write a Will Month, so you and a lot of estate planners are helping charities out across town to do these workshops for doing wills. I guess a lot of people don't even realize that they should have one.
Very, very important, of course.
Yeah.
I know I'm harping on something I've said before. If you've got minor children, whether or not you own a dollar, you need that to indicate who would become guardian of your minor child if something happened to you. It also, of course, says who gets what. It also says which, person you trust or family member would be in charge of administering things. So it carries out your wishes. It also avoids fights. Sometimes it avoids unnecessary struggles with the legal system. It's a good idea that really everybody should have in place.
And a lot of people may not be aware that, you don't have to necessarily just leave your assets to a person. You can leave them to a charity.
Exactly. Or what's more common, you may leave a certain, percentage or share or specific distribution. And that's part of what the Write a Will Month programs are about, to provide as kind of a community service, a chance for people to listen to an attorney or an accountant speak about the legal technicalities so people can learn something, what they need to know about having a will or not having a will. But they're also reminded about these, that if you have some charitable wishes, very few people probably put in their wills, bequests and devises to charities, and yet a lot more people are giving the money to charities while they're alive. So it's something to remind them. If there is a charity, a cause that means a lot to them, they may want to remember them in their will, even if it's for a small portion of their estate.
There are probably a lot of people in our audience who are thinking, I would love to have a will, but I really can't afford to go to a lawyer and have one done. Can you do your own will?
You can. Again, normally people might find it's not as expensive if they have a very simple situation to have a lawyer do their will for them, but there's no absolute requirement that you have a lawyer do one. There are certain things people need to know. For instance, if you handwrite out a will, it is normally legally binding if people can prove that it's yours without having witnesses or a notary or anything. But if you type up a will and you don't have the correct witnesses and things, it may not be worth anything and just be a piece of paper.
And when you die without a will, it just goes to probate? And
yes, it may go to probate anyway. That's the process of the will. But the laws of the state decide who gets it and who's in charge of your estate. And they are normally they're probably the people most people would be most likely to pick, but you don't necessarily want to leave it up to the state's laws to decide that.
What's that? You sent me some information. It takes a person how many years to accumulate wealth and 10 years to conserve it, and nobody can take a couple of hours to write a will.
Exactly, yes.
It just seems like such a waste of time.
Yeah. I have a vested interest, I know, but really people are a bit better off, and the lawyers make less money when you do this planning up front.
And let's just, for the sake of our viewers, how much, a simple will, how much would that cost?
Normally, without powers of attorney, probably about $300 to $400. Okay. With powers, probably more like $400 to $500. But
and keeping it updated, that's important.
It is, although for the most part, a will, until something changes in your life, stays valid and stays good.
Okay. All right, thank you so much. And Craig's going to be doing a couple of free presentations on writing a will. They are free. They are open to the public. One is scheduled for March 25th, 3 p.m. at the Tucson Museum of Art. It's sponsored by the museum, the Arizona Theater Company, and the Tucson Symphony Orchestra. So, again, it's all for charity there. The other is co-sponsored by the Center for Planned Giving and the Women's Foundation of Southern Arizona. Write a Will workshop will be held March 26th from 1:30 to 3 o'clock p.m. at the Community Foundation for Southern Arizona, 2250 East Broadway Boulevard. Now, pre-registration is required on that second one we showed you. So to register, please contact Doreen Honeycutt at 545-1117. Interesting research.